And again, this is how to apply for the SARTAC Fellowship. Go ahead to the next slide. What is SARTAC? The Self-Advocacy Resource and Technical Assistance Center. So this is a project that is funded by, it's a project of national significance funded by the Administration on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, what we call AIDD. And as the first ever national self-advocacy resource and technical assistance center. You may have been familiar with the regional centers, but we are the national center. And our presenters today are myself, Teresa Moore, and I'm the SARTAC director, and I work for Self-Advocates Becoming Empowered. Also, Vicki Turnage, she is the SARTAC Administrative Coordinator, and we're both with Self-Advocates Becoming Empowered. And then Danielle Underwood, she works with the SARTAC Fellowship Technology Coordinator, and she is at University of Missouri, Kansas City, UMKC, the Institute for Human Development. So that's your team that will be answering questions today. And if you could go to the next slide, please.
That's it. We can go ahead and move to either the website or the document.
Let's do the document first.
Okay.
So when you looked at the website, you probably saw this document. This is the user-friendly document. It's more what we call the paper document that you can print out that gives you the basic information and the questions. So we're just going to run through that. We already told you what SARTAC is, the National Self-Advocacy Resource and Technical Assistance Center. Go ahead and move down. Did we have a question come up, Danielle?
Let's see. I don't see a question coming in yet.
Okay, I thought I saw something flash up there. So when do the fellowships begin? Oops. In March? It didn't. You want to move it down again, Danielle?
We are trying to, and for some reason there we go. That might work now.
Okay.
Yeah, we could do share my screen. Or no, we could do share application. Yes, share application.
Okay, that is
Word. Okay. Oh.
okay, now it's going down slow.
Okay.
You have to go to the page. Sure.
Okay, you went too far. There we go. Okay, so the fellowship is from March 1st, 2018 to February 28, 2019. And so we want to make sure that the individual that you're working with is available during that time and for that length of time. All projects must take that year. And of course, we know things have ebbs and flows of time, but we estimate about 6 hours a week. The fellow that is chosen by SARTAC, and you'll submit your projects, and there'll be a team of reviewers that will score them, and then based on that, and we will select the individual and the project. As a fellow, you will work with a group called a host organization. All fellows must have a host organization to work with. And the host is, they have the responsibility to provide in-kind support and help the fellow meet their goals. And so when you're designing your project, you want to make sure that you're working side by side to make sure that everybody understands what support can be offered as far as helping the person achieve their goals on the timeline, and you might help with filling out forms and help with writing reports. Also, you might give the fellow an office to work in. We recommend that because that's really helpful. Computer, and a lot of the projects, they need different tools like cameras and things to work with, because one of the desires is that you create products that we can use in other states and around the country. The host and the fellow decide together what the host will provide. They will write this on the form when they apply, and the host and the fellow will ask support for assistance from SARTAC team at any time. So I'm the direct support for the fellow and the host organization when they're generally doing their activities. And then if there is technology questions like filling out the report online, which is what we do, then you would work with Danielle. So we're a very tight-knit team. Go ahead and move down. Now, the host can be a variety of different organizations. It can be a state developmental disability council, the Disability Rights Network, the PNA, can be a USED, university or college. We've had self-advocacy groups or disability organizations apply. We encourage human rights groups to apply and community organizations to apply. There are rules about being a fellow, and you must be involved as a leader in a group for at least 3 years. So it can be a variety of leadership opportunities, but it needs to come up to 3 years of leadership. This could be more than one group, and you have been it may be that you've been an officer or another kind of role. For some examples are chairing events, starting groups, or leading changes in your community. So you can see there's a variety of ways that you can have this leadership in your experience as a fellow. You have not worked for the host in the past. That's not worked means being an official employee of the host organization. So if they've been a volunteer, that's okay. Be able to share ideas by writing or typing. The host can support this when needed. Be able to join monthly calls and connect online with other fellows and SARTAC leaders. Fellows can participate in conference calls in any way that works for them. Go ahead and scroll down. For example, we can do a chat, use a chat during a call, video relay service, whatever support is needed. Attend and introduce your project at the SABE National Conference. The event that's coming up is the June 7th through the 9th, 2018. We will be introducing their projects and letting people know what they're working on. That may get you more community support or more national support for your project. So at that conference, we encourage you to come to introduce the project and show people what you're working on. The fellow or host will pay for the cost to attend that conference. These funds can come from the fellowship payments if needed. What else do the hosts need to know? The hosts are important partners in the fellowship project. When done well, SARTAC project will add to the self-advocate, host organization, and the whole movement. They will also build work skills that can lead to jobs, may lead to jobs. So the hope is that you have a project that is realistic as possible to make sure that they get real skills that they can put on a resume to potentially lead them to other volunteer opportunities or other employment. Employment is a primary goal of what we want for the fellows, to be able to use these skills to build a resume. The host role includes a full long-term support of the fellow to ensure the project's success, to assist the fellow with their support needs, and this could include research, typing up materials and reports, and including help with the online forms, because we like to collect them in one place. You may be supporting the fellow to do that, to enter that information online, to assist in planning the project's actions, join the monthly calls with the fellow and SARTAC staff. Now, just to let you know, sometimes everyone will be on the call, the host and the fellow, and sometimes the fellow just wants to talk to me about what they're experiencing and what they're going through, and that's okay too. Provide tools and information. Go ahead and go down. And confirm that the fellow has met and agreed on the goals of the SARTAC goals before SARTAC pays him or her. Also, the host may want to help the fellow with the cost to go to the national conference. The SARTAC expects the fellow to attend and introduce the projects to the national audience. And again, that conference, June 7th through the 9th in Birmingham, Alabama. The host and fellow will fill out the fellowship application form together. If the self-advocate has a project idea, the host needs SARTAC to connect with them. And that's Danielle's information right there. Create a leadership training is some of the projects. Do training and share what you learned and how groups can use it. That's an idea. Write a guide on how to grow a state and local group. Study current trends for policy project, and keep in mind that all the projects must be a leadership or policy project. Report what you think could solve the problems in a disability and employment. Could be about closing institutions, working on the healthcare issues, and other areas that people are interested in. Plan a training that helps self-advocates from different cultures and disabilities who have not had much help before. So underserved communities is definitely something that we would be interested in hearing about. Go ahead. Learn how to make new partners, join a group of another kind of group, and do an advocacy project, and write a guide about how you learn to work together. One of the most common issues that self-advocates tell us about is the not having the experience on how to talk to new people and new groups and introduce themselves. So if your project would do that and help them to grow their partnerships for the organization. That would be very helpful. Do research projects on the history of disability rights in your state. Make a display and tell the story. Plan a large self-advocacy event in your state or region and write a guide on how you did it. So as you can see, the projects have some kind of resource that is created, because hopefully you toured around the SARTAC website and realized that it is very big on resources that are created by self-advocates for self-advocates. And then it will be included on the website for everyone across the country to use. So the projects that are happening now that are different projects on leadership and policy. And so here are some examples of what the fellows are doing now. One is called The Path to Power, Self-Advocates as Community Organizers to Enhance Human Rights. And that is Marie Melanowski. She's in New York, and she is with the Self-Advocacy Association of New York and Voice Buffalo. They're in partnership to make this happen. And developing accessible online leadership training and resource. So Shiloh Blackburn from Idaho, she's part of the University Center, and she wants to make sure that self-advocates have great online leadership training. Advocating for more flexible self-directed supports to promote employment. Bob Peterson, he likes to be called Bob, and he's part of the Illinois University, and he is working to support changes inside of his service system that support him to be employed. So we're excited to see all of the activity that he does to help change the system to support him. Raising the Heat self-advocate style, using the principles of the Kansas Leadership Center to provide self-advocates with leadership tools. And Cole Brown from the Self-Advocacy Coalition of Kansas is doing that project, and he wants to make sure that self-advocates have the opportunity to get their leadership training from the leadership centers that are around the country. And in his state particularly, he wants to make sure that self-advocates have that opportunity. And we have a transportation project, the Right-of-Way project, and there's going to be a guide to going places, increasing awareness of transportation needs for people with disabilities, and helping improve policy for self-advocates around those issues. And Danielle McGill from Florida is working with the Ann Stork Center to work on this issue, and she is very active in all kinds of different transportation organizations now, and continues to get invited to talk about those issues. And there's all kinds of exciting things that we expect to come from that project. A place at the table, preparing to serve on human rights committees. Stephen Poe wants to make sure that self-advocates have the right to serve on those committees, because it is self-advocates' lives that we're talking about, and he wants to make sure that self-advocates are getting those opportunities to be leaders on the human rights committees. So that is going to be very exciting, because he wants to make sure that they are getting those opportunities. And he's from DC with the Project Action. And you may have heard of them before. They do a lot of self-advocacy work. So we're excited about working with them. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Or next page, excuse me. So here is how you apply. we really encourage you to work side by side with the fellow and the host together, because that's how your project is going to be more successful. So we're hoping that self-advocates are with you, are on with you, learning about this application process together. This will help you. And here is the Word document, like we said. This is what we're going over now. And we're also, if technology allows us, look at the online application, because it looks a little bit different, even though the questions are the same. So we gave you this paper Word document so that you could use it to answer the questions. And if you want to go ahead and go down a little bit more. And again, there is information for Danielle. And just keep in mind that these applications are due December the 31st at 5 p.m. Pacific time. If you have any problems at all, you contact Danielle when there's technology issues, or if you're having trouble working between the paper document and the electronic document. Please contact her. We encourage you to do everything on the paper document if you're more comfortable that way, and then copy and paste it into the electronic document. It just makes it easier for our team to see it. And so here is the actual questions. So Danielle, maybe we could take questions as we go. Do you think that would work for you okay?
Sure, absolutely.
As people see something or hear something, we encourage you to just kind of raise your hand and let us know you have a question. If not, I will try to give examples and move through the questions to help you out. But if you have a question, please raise your hand, and Danielle will let me know, and we can take your question as we go, because I think it's hard to hold all this information if you have something specific. So here is the application questions. The fellow and host must agree on a project that will help both parties. Please describe your fellowship idea. And we like you to give your project a title and describe the topic. And you'll have different opportunities to tell us information. So tell us what you want to do. So go ahead and scroll down. Do we have any questions on that one?
Teresa, we're gonna hold up for just a second and check in on the question side of things, just because I need to get out of this screen in order to see what questions have come in. So if you can just give me a second here.
Absolutely. Do we have any questions so far?
You know what, go ahead, and we're just gonna keep on moving, and we'll get back to you here in just a second.
Okay. So again, if you have a question, raise your hand and we'll get your question. The next question, number 3, is why is the project important to the fellow personally and to the host? And why do you think this project is important to the self-advocacy movement overall? And we just want to hear why you want to do it. Why is it important? Go ahead and go to the next question. Why is a year needed to complete this project? Again, this is a learning experience for the fellow, and we want to make sure that it's a project that's going to take a year for them to learn. And for example, if it's an event, what is the planning? You know, it's going to take a year to plan it, to get the details right, to arrange everything. Tell us an example of why that would be important for it to have a year to work on. They need to have this experience. It works out to be about approximately 6 hours a week that they would work on the project. So, you know, again, as we know, sometimes you work a little more and sometimes you work a little less, but approximately 6 hours. And we want them to have, and I don't believe I've said the amount, the $5,000 must go to the fellow. All of that money must go to the fellow. It is not for expenses for the organization or anything like that. That is all in kind. But the $5,000 can be if the fellow needs help going to the conference, if you don't have the funding, or many of our projects, they supported that through other funds so that the fellow could have the full $5,000. So you can, however you can work that out, we want that money to go to the fellow. That's the way it's designed. Any questions about that? Let's see. Okay, has the sound improved? I noticed there's quite a few things around the,
Hey, Teresa, we have
Yeah.
a raised hand from Patrick Mitchell.
okay,
Would like to ask a question.
okay, go ahead, Patrick.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes,
So question was, so the $5,000 needs to go to the participant. If the project has expenses attached to that, can that money be used on project expenses as well, or is the host expected to cover those?
we encourage the host to cover the expenses to support the fellow. The only expense that we consider something that you might want to set aside if you don't have it available in other ways is the travel to the conference. But the other expenses are to be in kind. Does that
Okay,
make sense? And since it's approximately 6 hours a week, you know, we're hoping that, you know, shared space and things like that help with the expenses. Many times the fellow wants to be there more often just so that they can have contact, though. Any other questions, Danielle?
We have a question from Laura Dawson asking, will SARTAC be paying any stipend to the host organization, for example, Independent Living Center or Disability Resource Center?
Stipends?
Yes, to the host?
No funds go to the host from SARTAC except for the $5,000 for the fellow for their work. I hope that makes sense. All other support needs to be in kind from the host to support the fellow. But what we've found is the national recognition that you get from the projects sometimes leads to other opportunities for the host and the fellow. And so it's a fantastic opportunity to have national recognition and national projects that you can identify when visiting other groups. And we've had many of the fellows get opportunities to speak at events and things like that, and to be part of other action groups and things that really help the host organization achieve their goals. So it is to help you in that way. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, so we have another question from a potential applicant for the fellowship. And Megan is asking, does the host need to come to the SAVE conference? And also, can you work more than 6 hours?
The average of the time is 6 hours, but like I said, it'll have ebbs and flows when they'll have more, more that they'll do and less that they'll do. And some host organizations have actually matched the $5,000 to accommodate if they want them to do extra work to help achieve the project. So that's also an option if you want to match so that they can have more hours. And some projects have actually hired the person to give them, that real employment opportunity. So.
And does the host need to come to the SAVE conference?
I think it would be helpful, but if they need that support, but if they're ready, it's a mixture that we've heard are coming to some people are comfortable traveling and feel very prepared for that. Other people don't have that experience and they may want that host organization to travel with them. And the host organization would probably need to, talk to them well in advance to make that, to plan that. I hope that answers it clearly.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so we start off by having some questions for the Self-Advocate Fellow, and this is so that we can get to know their experiences and how they feel about the project. And we do ask the question, do you have an intellectual or developmental disability as defined by the Developmental Disability Rights Act of 2000? And that is on the last page of this document if you have not seen that before. Some self-advocates have not seen that, and then they find it very helpful to go through that. So we're using the federal definition, and so it's very broad, but we do, want to know that information. And this talks about any leadership training that they've had in the past. Gives us an opportunity to see that those years of experience. And you give them several opportunities and ways to answer the questions so that they can take full advantage of have you acted as a leader in a group. So sometimes you don't have the title, but you've done the work. Go ahead. And if you have helped develop products before, we would like to know if you've done that before. So that could have been reports like a white paper that they may have helped with, different training tools, videos, helped with websites and their content, worked on social media. Having that experience is very helpful in most of the projects that we encounter. So we just want to know what their experiences are. And if they do not have any of that experience, it just identifies it and helps us to know how we might be able to support the person more. And typically that would be me that would help them think about those things along with the host. So we want to make sure we know what their history and background are so that we can help them. If you have presented at conferences on different topics, what were they? And, we just want to know if they do have that experience doing that or not, because I just want to make sure that the host and I are supporting them to learn what they'll need to know to present at the conference. And this asks that question one more time. Can you give that year to the project? We want to make sure that they know and are well aware that it must take a year for a true experience to happen. And then this asks for the commitment to monthly calls and update emails, so that we must have contact every month with each other. And that would be to me and Danielle. They just copy us on that so that we would know where they're at with their project. And then there are progress reports every 3 months and a final report that must be done. Being part of an online community with the other fellows. We encourage this because they do help each other, and they are creating their own team each year. We'll have an opportunity to get close to each other and know each other's projects and help each other. Is there any questions so far? Okay. Hearing none, I'll go ahead and move on. And this is really important. Why do you want to be a SARTAC Fellow? What does it mean to you? Okay, let's go ahead and start the host information. Go ahead and scroll down. Again, we just need that contact person. There may be several people that'll be on your team, and you can identify them at the appropriate time, but there needs to be a main contact in case we need to get a hold of anyone to ask questions or just check in. And then all good projects need a timeline, and we went ahead and helped you with a couple of items to tell you when your quarterly reports are due and when the national conference is. Go ahead and scroll down. And on that timeline, I really like to see when project goal lines are going to be achieved, product goal lines, excuse me. And then we would like for the fellow to give us 2 references, and sometimes the host needs to help them think about who would be the best reference for them, and to encourage them to contact their reference and ask them if it's okay to put them down. And here are the signatures of the fellow and the host applicant. And then here's the federal definition that will help the person. Some people are in the system and some people are not. So it's good to know this information if you need it to help you answer the question at the beginning of the application. Are there any questions? What we wanted to do now is just show you how,
I'm sorry, just one second, Teresa. We did have a couple questions come in.
Sure.
One of them was asking for the information about the dates for the National Self-Advocacy Conference, so we'll go back and show you information on that here in just a second. We also had a question about whether or not traumatic brain injury would be considered for one of these underneath that IDD definition for the in terms of this project.
Again, we're using the federal definition, so if they meet the qualifications on that page and they have acquired their disability before the age of 22 and some of those other criteria are met, I believe that would be acceptable for us to consider. So I hope that answers that question. And the conference
come in is, will we have to do any social media work while working on our projects?
Many of the projects build that in as a way to do outreach for what they're doing. If they have an event or product that they want to, because it would be it would be helpful to you to test the products that you have. And social media would be a great way to advertise events and things that you are doing. So if it naturally fits into what the process should be for your project, then I would recommend that you use it. So that, I don't know, is that helpful? If it naturally fits into the project line of activities, then I would say yes. And it's always good for people to learn that if possible, because that is the way of the future.
Okay, so would it be okay, Teresa, if I go ahead and walk people through the website and how they can access all these materials?
Absolutely.
Okay, we're just going to do a couple minutes. So you've already gone through the details about the fellowship and what you'll need to be able to answer in order to apply to do a fellowship. And now we just want to show you the tools of how you're going to actually put that application in. So the document that we just were going through is located on SARTAC's website. And I think you should be able to see on your screen up here, the address for SARTAC's website is selfadvocacyinfo.org. That's our homepage. And you can come here to find a lot of great information. And part of this, if you go to the About tab and click on About, you will see a bunch of different things about what SARTAC is and some resources you can find here. And there is a tab that talks about the fellowships. If you click on this, it takes you to a page that will give you, this is sort of your entry point to get to the application for this year's fellowship, but also underneath this, you'll see a lot more information about the current fellowships that are happening right now. And I think that could be that's really useful information for you all to be able to, there are photographs of the current fellows and just a little bit of background information about them and their projects. So that might be really helpful for you all to be able to go through and see who the winners are from last year, so you can kind of know the type of projects we're looking for. So Teresa already read off the project titles for you, but these are the people that we're talking about who are currently working on their projects. So that's all there on the Fellows page. And at the top, before you get to them, you can click on this graphic, to take you into all the information that we've just been going through with you. So this gives you just a quick paragraph about what it is, all this information we just were talking about. And the document that we were just looking at with you is your preparation document. And so you can use that Word document to think about, sit down, host and fellow together and think through the project idea. You can type into that document if you want to, and then use that as a way to copy and paste the information into the actual online form, which I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so if you come down here a little further, oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Fill out the online application form right here. We just click on that, and it takes you to the form. And this is all the same information that is on the Word document we just went through with you. This is, like I said, it's accessible through SARTAC's webpage, the Fellows webpage. And if you go through this, you scroll down, you start, this is all the same information, and then you enter the application form right through here. So go to the next step, takes you to where all of this information gets input. If you have any questions, if this is confusing, my information is on the SARTAC website. It's on the document, and we will also, we'll make sure that it's in plenty of different places so you can find my phone number and my email address if you have any questions. But this right here is where you're going to put that information that you talk about together. Teresa, do you want to add anything to that?
And those boxes, they expand to meet your needs. So if you're having any problems with that, they do expand.
And you type right in to this, and then hit OK, and it takes you to the next question. So you just follow that and hit done at the end, and it will come to us, and we'll be able to see your project idea and all of your information.
Just make sure you hit that done button or it won't go through. Do we have any questions? Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, Daniel.
No, I was going to say the same thing. Just wondering what questions we can answer for everyone. I'm not seeing any questions coming in through the chat. You can, in the chat box, there is a way for you to go ahead and type a question and then hit send, and we'll be able to answer your questions for you. Okay, we have a question about whether or not developing a toolkit on competitive employment, let's see, and policy issues would be a good project idea. Teresa, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I think as long as it can create a tool that's helpful for people and you can describe it in a way that we can see that it will be done in a year, just make sure that it's something that can be accomplished in a year, because that is a very complex subject. You may want to be very, very direct about which path you want to take to achieve it. So I would talk with your partner, your host organization, and just make sure that you can see a path that and a goal or a product that can be completed in a year. I hope that's helpful. Any other questions?
I think we've tried to answer questions as we've gone along, and I think we've covered all of them. If there are any that we've missed, if you could maybe just send it to me again here real quick. And yeah, I think we've gotten them all. I don't want to miss anybody.
Danielle, Teresa, this is Vicki Turdage. I think there was a question out there in the chat box that I'm seeing from Nicole. Can y'all see that question?
I think that's the one we just addressed. It's the same one I'm seeing about developing a toolkit on competitive employment. Is that the same one, or is that something different?
No, that's it. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry. It must have cut out on me.
That's okay.
Yeah, what I said, Vicki, was as long as the project is very clear what wants to be accomplished and that it can be accomplished in a year, because that is such a complex issue that could go in many paths to achieve it. And we just want to make sure that it's very clear what they want to do.
Okay, we have a couple more questions from Megan. Do you have any suggestions in case an applicant has trouble finding a host? So what we're recommending is, if you have an idea and you just are not sure who to ask to be your host, that you contact me, and that we can, as a team, work together to think about who might be a good host to link you with. And my information is on that Word document that's on the website, and I'm going to go ahead and give it to you again now in case you would just like to write it down. My phone number is 816-235-5359, and my email address is Underwood, that's UNDERWOOD, D for Danielle, M for Mary, at umkc.edu. I know that's really long. I'll say it again together. Underwood, DM, at umkc.edu. And you can contact me directly. The second part of this question is, are artistic projects welcome?
We definitely encourage the creativity as long as it achieves a leadership or policy goal, and the way that it is achieved can be very creative. So I would welcome the opportunity to review something that takes a creative approach to achieving those goals.
Any further questions? Okay, we have one from Patrick. He is asking, who owns the final product from the project?
The way that it's typically worked is that we would want to put the SARTAC branding on it, but you can carry it on your website and we would carry it on ours. But it would have the SARTAC branding on it since it is our project. But the idea is that this information be shared as far and wide as we can. So, we don't have a restriction on who shares it. I hope that answers the question.
Okay.
Making it happen.
Well, we have been recording this, like we said in the beginning. This has been recorded, and we will make sure that this is posted on the SARTAC website so that people can access this later. People have sent me emails saying that they wanted to be on and couldn't because of the time. So, but anyone can get on later and look at this information again. Teresa, would you like to close us out, or?
I just want to thank everyone for being on, and please contact us if you have any further questions that we did not answer. And we look forward to receiving your proposals. Thank you very much for spending time with us today. Danielle or Vicki, do you have anything else you want to say?
Nope, that sounds great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Brian.